Hello, my friends. Welcome to another amazing live stream at Jacob's Ladder. That's right, people. Oh, I have an urgent show. I know that the mood that I'm in just seems pretty excited, right? Because there's so much to talk about. So what we're going to do here is we are going to take this one step at a time. One step at a time. Let's start with the thumbnail. What is all of this that is going down? We got the X Day. We got the X Flare. We got the X Virus of the Crown. And the X app. And Neuralink. Ooh, you look at that logo, looks like an X, right? That's the Ouroboros, otherwise known as, some people call it the infinity sign. Some people call it the dragon. We're going to get into quite a bit because there's a lot of X business going on. I see that a lot of you were in the chat. We got a bunch of people here already. Hit the like. Let's get into this because this is going to be, I tell you, it's like every day there's something big and there's something interesting. And I can't believe that everything's coming down on June 1st of epic proportion. Kind of like the old Noah's flood. That's right. Noah's flood would have been what would be considered like a reset or a reboot, a default, if you will. Look at the definition of default, because right now you know that there's a lot of people. Everybody's crying out about what's happening with the debt ceiling, right? And of course the Trumpster and others, they said, oh no, they're gonna probably default on this. They're gonna default on this, which would be catastrophic. Even Biden himself says 8, that number 8, which by the way is an Ouroboros, which by the way is the infinity sign. It's the X. 8 million people out of a job in the United States alone if this happens. People are they're gonna starve, they say. Oh, they love to scare everybody, don't they? But hey, I'm here to encourage you. I'm here to let you know that you're walking the right path, my friends, and you got nothing to worry about. You only got to fear, as they say, because there's torment in it. But let's take a look at the facts that Yellen, who's, by the way, always yelling, get it? Because she's yelling. Yellen is, she's saying there's the X state's coming. And how does she know this? Well, by the news standards, it's because she has a Ouija board. Magic. You want to see magic? Let me show you a trick, all right? Because I would love to have somebody that I love very much here in about a second. Let's see if we can do it. And voila! It's Ethan. Look who's my producer today. That's right. Say hi to everybody, EE. Yeah, so he's gonna go play some basketball. All right. So you gotta get going now. All right, get out of here. All right, give me a hug. He wanted to see how it works. So he's my producer over there. Go, get back to work. He's going to make sure that all of you are doing awesome in the live chat. I'm happy that you're all here, really. I'm happy that you're all here. So Janet Yellen is using her Ouija board. We know it's all about magic, right? Hasn't everything been about magic recently? We said that it's all about the MAGA, the Magi, the Magus, all of that stuff. It's happening. It's happening with the economy. It's happening with, the things that are going on in the solar system, if you will. X's are everywhere. The one that they're concerned the most about, obviously, is this default, which wouldn't be a good thing. Some people are saying that June 1st is the day. Others are saying that it's not really June 1st. But I'll tell you one thing now. If they defaulted, some people would say, well, maybe this was done on purpose. And it was done on purpose so that, we can't afford anything because, of course, inflation would go bananas. Everything would get so big and so extraordinarily expensive that who could do anything? That we'd end up, selling all that we have just for some bread. By the way, that's in prophecy. Connected to Jacob, by the way, in the book of Genesis, the story of Joseph. All of this stuff is connected. There's nothing new that's under the sun. I'm hoping that you're happy to be here, and I'm hoping that you hit the old like button, not the X button. Not the X button. because that wouldn't be good. That would be like copying and pasting something. We're not going to get into the default just yet, but we're going to remind ourselves that a default, honestly, is kind of like going back to factory settings on a device or a computer. It's to revert back to what was before. You know, I was so excited that the Ethan was here. I forgot to get my tea. Ethan, this is why he should be here. Could you grab my tea for me? I need a little bit of tea. Drinking it straight out of Uranus. Somebody sent me a very funny video about Uranus and their famous fudge factory, and that all the signs are very funny. Thank you very much, bud. Ethan doesn't drink out of a Uranus cup. He drinks out of a God's Champion cup. Isn't that right, Ethan? Yeah, that's right. He's like, I don't want any part of that nonsense humor. This show, he says, it's a little bit too childish. I put batteries back in the gun. I'm sorry. Listen, the stuff that I'm talking about, you're not allowed to laugh, buddy. You got to be quiet. I'm just kidding. You are allowed to laugh. We're allowed to have fun. I do this for my children, after all. X is a big deal. America's X Day is coming into view, so we might as well have a couple of laughs, right? While the whole world is scared, screaming, hanging on for dear life, like Jacob when he was wrestling the messenger of God, saying, I'm not going to let go till you bless me. I'm not letting go. Will you do me a favor, all of you watching? Will you hit the like? And will you tell your friends? It's important. Okay, weeks ago, White House officials noted and publicly stressed the need to extend this debt limit. There's an issue. Okay, I'm gonna catch you up to all this stuff. Honestly, this is not the part of the show that excites me. I know that a lot of people are talking about this because they're all gonna get you all so scared. I'm saying it's good to have a little bit of food and water on hand. I'm saying, you got to trust God with all this. If there's some kind of a big master plan, freaking out ain't gonna do nothing. But preparing yourself would be good. I'm not too stressed. I believe God's in control. J.P. Morgan Chase and their executive officer, Jamie Dimon, warned earlier this month that even going to the brink is dangerous. So in other words, we're already at the brink. It's already going to be bad. Just biding our time, people. I've been saying this for a while. Hey, listen to the people that supposedly know what they're talking about, all right? Let's just play this for a second.
There's also a debate as to the significance of June 1st itself.
Right. Yes, there are some Republicans who are questioning June 1st and whether that is the actual X date or whether there's some additional.
I bet Megan Scully doesn't have a fart gun.
Time. This would allow them extra time to get a deal through the House and then ultimately through the Senate.
Well, I guess that's enough of that. I hit a button, so that's enough of that. They just went on with the rigmarole. Get you all stressed out. That's all there is to it. But don't worry. Listen, if it's not the inflation it's going to get us, it's going to be the massive solar flare. It's everybody's talking about that. I get excited about the solar flares. You know why, Ethan? Why? Because I feel like, maybe a massive solar flare from the sun. If you don't know what that is, it's a burst of plasma that comes out of the sun, kind of like heads towards you. Well, there are these things, they're called X flares, Ethan. X flares, right? This is what the whole show's about. X marks the spot. Everything's connected to the X today. But these X flares, they're loops that are 10 times the size of Earth. So imagine these big, huge, just rays of sun, plasma disbursements of energy and particles headed towards the Earth, blasting us. You know what ends up happening? Stuff goes down. Sometimes they're like blackouts. Sometimes it's like GPS. And then what happens to Dad without GPS? I'm lost. Without Siri, how do I get home? X-flare happens. I'm going to be stuck. And I'll literally be like a mile and a half down the road. It doesn't take much for me to get lost. But I think, Ethan, you got to tell me if you take a look at this. This is, come on over here for a second. This is He-Man. When I was, who here remembers He-Man? Anybody? Tell me in the live chat. He-Man, the Masters of the Universe. Well, that's him right there. So I put out this little tweet. Who else is feeling a massive solar flare incoming to lift your spirits and encourage your heart? You see, I take the positive route on things because I believe that God has a plan for everything, and that, there's proven fact that when they have these massive blasts of energy, particles, gamma rays or whatever you want to call it from the sun, that it does literally affect our DNA, our genetic makeup. It be like literally. So why not have superpowers? I have the power. That's what He-Man used to say. He used to raise the sword. Anybody ever notice that He-Man was a Knights Templar? He was in the... Anybody ever notice that? That really blew my mind. When I was a kid, I saved all these. I collected these. I loved Masters of the Universe. Hey, Lauren Sawyer's in the chat. Thank you for the super chat, Lauren. I appreciate it. Good afternoon to you, David. Thank you, Jason, for saying that I give you information downloads. I try. This powerful solar flare that erupted from a sunspot 3 times the size of the Earth caused widespread radio blackouts. That was like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. I was talking about this for a while. But what if one comes that's so much bigger? What if one comes and it's huge? What if a solar flare comes and everybody's like, that's it. You're all in trouble now. Everybody calm down. Calm down, everybody. Calm down. It's just a solar flare. You should get your superpowers soon. Is it too much today because Ethan's here? Am I going a little bit overboard? I think I'm doing a little bit. Why does anybody take me seriously? I don't know. You know why? Because I have a good heart and I love you all. And honestly, I want to do the right thing. I really do pray. Ethan, let me ask you a question. Before I started the show, what did I do? You got to speak up. Come on over here and tell everybody. What did I do?
Prayed.
And I did the old, I blew the shofar, the horn.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he goes, oh, it's loud. I said, yeah, I'm getting better at it. Unless I come on air, and then I can't do it, dude. I don't even know how to. I guess I freeze up. I get a little nervous. I get a little bit like maybe, like you with your concert the other night when you were yawning in the middle of Hallelujah. I should show all of you that footage. We just went to his concert. He's yawning during Hallelujah. That's my boy. So proud of him. All right, so we got this Twitter X flare. I promise everybody the show is going to get so much cooler. Hey, a lot of you are watching. Thank you so much. Hit the old like and get it around because it's gonna be a thing. You know why? Because we got an X thing too. Disease X. That's the next one. Everything's got to be X. Everything's got to be spooky. I just talked about Arcturus on one of my shows recently. You can actually go back and probably find that if you want. It's they're getting everybody so scared about everything. It's like it gets to a point where it's a little much. It's a little much. So we got what? We got Disease X, right? Because X is like, that's marketing gold right there. You just label everything X. Of course, Twitter is no longer really, it's not Twitter Corp, it's now X Corp. Because, of course, Elon, he's turning it into the X app. It's going to be an everything app. You're going to be able to buy stuff there. You're going to be able to be an influencer there. You're going to be able to, commerce there. You're going to be able to, now with Neuralink, we're going to get into that because that was just approved for human trials. You're going to be able to telepathically connect to people. That's right. We're all going to be linked up. Well, not me. I get a little nervous. I don't like taking Advil. I'm not going to have something plugged into my brain. But, there's something to be said. I was trying to listen to a good buddy of mine sent me a really cool interview about AI and about just the whole thing with Grimes, who's really into like the AI and just it was a really interesting interview. Can't think of the name, but I had to play it. I play everything on like double the speed because I don't got time to listen to an hour broadcast, so I double it up and I listen to the whole thing. And it's, but could you imagine if you could just press a little button and then you get the whole thing that quick? You'd have more time to do what? Get lost when the X flare comes and you can't find your way back home. I don't know if that would get me to sign up for it, but I mean, there are going to be some pretty strong arguments made. Obviously, we're not looking too too near in the future, maybe 5 years, 10 years down the road, but I don't know. This is a lot of spooky stuff, almost as spooky as Lil Nas X coming out about all the stuff that's going on with those stores. Or Fast and the Furious, Fast X, XXXXX, everybody. X marks the spot, a circle and a dot. Interesting, because we started talking about the X over the United States how many moons ago, right? From 2018, very beginning. You know, this was that was my video, 7-year warning, biblical events unfolding. I talked about this eclipse, whose crux, by the way, if you don't know anything about it, it's called the Great American Eclipse. And this eclipse, it cross-sects smack dab in the middle of a place called Carbondale, Illinois, which carbon is 6 electrons, 6 protons, 6 neutrons. Carbon-based life forms, right? Carbondale, Vale means the lowland. The lowland of carbon is where this X cross-sects. This is the thing. The people that really aren't interested in seeking more, by now, they're gone. All the little goofy humor with the little stuff and that. Now, but for you all, this show, you're going to be like, I got to tell people about this. And you'll probably just say, skip to about 12 minutes in. Because that's when Jacob really starts to get into the good stuff. I always save the best for last because I want you all to stay. Listen to me on 2-speed if you have to. But that would be weird. I know a buddy of mine does, and he says that it's weird talking to me normal. So anyway, I did this video about this. If you take a look at that eclipse, there's going to be another one on April 8th, 2024, the X. And I saw it as a place of division in the United States, that there was going to be a great separating, if you will. And I said we had like this almost 7-year period. Some people, in fact, say that it's like, 6 years, 6 months, 6 weeks, 6 days or something like that. Close to that. I don't know. That's not really that interesting to me. But the fact that it was, close to 7 years was really important to me. The crux of these eclipses, Little Egypt, 7-year itch. Egypt being the place, of course, remember the famine. Pharaoh had the dream. He had the dream of the cows. These big fat cows came out of the water and they were, eating everything. And then these other cows came out that were like sickly, looking like zombies, and then they just ate everything. And Joseph interprets the dream. So I said, oh no. Back then, I said, it's going to get spooky around 2022. I said 2020. I said about halfway through. I said that would be like almost a time of what they call Jacob's Trouble, this 3.5-year period where things get really spooky. It's interesting. I want to play just a clip of this for all of you because I really believe it's important, and hopefully I won't get hit with any ads. Let's see. So that's me. Now, the irony about all this, people, probably what you don't know is that I'm doing this at my job. This is when I used to sell mattresses, okay? So I'd get to work a lot earlier than I had to be there. And there was just this background that I thought was really cool. I just set myself up in the back when no one was around, and I do my videos because I always felt that they were important. And I felt like this one was super important, but it's irony. Like if you could only know where I was and how I was, it's just interesting. All right, so let's take a listen to this. Happens. But spiritually is where I'm talking. That's the main thing. You got to be storing it up right now because there's 7 years of plenty. And when this following 7 years that happens, possibly right after that second eclipse, perhaps that'll be the time when things are going to get really tough. And why do I say that? Well, just like, now do me a favor, tell me in the live chat if you hear everything okay, because I'm basically playing this blind. Like Pharaoh's dream and everything else, you have this one gigantic steer, Holstein steer, gigantic knickers coming out, right? Topping the scales.
Johnson, why are you naked?
Because
my t-shirts suck.
All the time with the ads. Look at the ads that I get. How crazy is this stuff? All right, let's see if I can just play through this ad and
Thanks, boss.
good grief. Skip it. Skip the ad.
True Classic is designed to enhance the male physique in all the right places.
These ads are just weird. They're just weird. All right, you know
Gibson?
what?
That's right, boss. I have strong arms, but
It's almost
also
like it's done on purpose.
a little bit of...
it almost feels like it's done on purpose. All right, you know what, everybody? You're gonna have to go back. You're gonna have to trust me on that. I basically laid out what was happening. I laid it all out. I said, oh, by the time we get here and here and here, and here we are. So it's like I wanted to show you that just for a little bit of credibility, so you don't think that I'm just some goofball. Thank you so much, Melinda Keynes. You were amazing too for the super chat. Wow. All right, so I guess it sounded good. It's a real bummer that it's a real bummer. Let me see if I can just maybe I'll play it in the background. I'll mute it, and we can come back to it. Who knows? Well, so basically these 7 years, it was like the 7-year period, and I kind of feel like we're in that back end, that this is the moment. And what's weird is all the things that are happening right now, all of these things that are literally playing out right now, they kind of lend to that, because that story in Genesis, Jacob is in the land with his brothers. So, I mean, could you imagine if it was like today? I'd be like a Jacob, and it would be like one of my children were, basically some super important person, running things. Or is Joseph basically a picture of Christ and something that is birthed within us, who's, setting us up so that we can actually be set free from the lies that we've believed, and we can, get out of that famine. But is there a famine that's literally coming on the land? It seems like there could be, especially with this X date on June the 1st. It's just very strange. Very strange that as I'm talking to you, I'm playing this ad that is going on, it seems like forever, because I really wanted to play some of this for you. And it just feels like I just made a mistake somehow, even thinking that this was going to work. So, what we're going to do? We're going to move on with the show. So we have the eclipses that are going down. Historically, we knew that this day was coming. And so now, what do? Right? So just imagine that things get very tough in the world. Imagine that your life is pretty just miserable. Wouldn't it be better to plug into something better? Wouldn't it be better to plug into something that was more rewarding, where you didn't feel like such a failure, where you could fly, right? That's the appeal of this, future, this dystopian future where they're going to be plugged in. Is this the first step of it? Some people would say that we are. As Kimba says, we are in a famine. Yeah. And to be frank, I like to point out that the famine's it's not for food. It's for the word of God. It's for the truth. People are starved for the truth today. They're starved for purpose today. Now, I don't like to be that guy that tries to get everybody stressed out and scared about technology. I just feel like, things can be used for good. They can also be used for evil, right? So why do we always jump to the lowest common denominator and think that the worst is coming when we get news like this, that his brain implant from Neuralink gets an approval for a human trial? Now, I talked almost 3 years ago, I guess, when the news first broke about the monkey, that they had the chips implanted in them, and he could legitimately play Pong with his mind. With his mind, not like with his mind. And he could ask for snacks with his mind. It's like, give me a banana smoothie. And they would give him a banana smoothie. This is legitimately what happened. This years ago. So you imagine if a monkey can play Pong 2 years ago, where are we now? And what can we do now? Right? And where will this Neuralink take humanity? In what direction? People are scared. They're freaking out about this, while others say this is going to be the way to handle things in the future. I don't know. I've talked about what the mark of the beast is. I say this a lot of times. Okay? The mark of the beast, I have video after video after video of this. It's not what you think. It's not like you could somehow avoid it. All men, this is what the scriptures say, have to deal with this. All men. I wish I could give you a dissertation on it right now, but in the world, I also say, because the spiritual is what really matters. If you're already a slave to a lie and you're doing terrible things because you've taken that mark of the beast, which is the animal nature of man, it's easy to point outside of yourself and say, oh, no, well, I'm okay, I'm good. I said a couple of magic words. As long as I don't do this or as long as I don't take that. Everybody's got an explanation of what it is. People really think that this is going to be that mark. They say that. They believe that. I have a friend that I talk to sometimes on the channel. He's a vampire slayer, and you've probably seen this, but let's listen to his take on that. Oh, by the way, I put up a poll today. God cares more about how someone dresses, who someone loves, or how someone treats others. So there are the results of the poll so far, and you can take that any way you want. So this has to do with, of course, Neuralink. Let's just play this really quick. Or they have like nanobots. Oh, so Neuralink is not just about outpacing AI and helping people that have medical conditions like paralysis and everything else. It's about mind control. No, mind control, they already do this. What? Word on Twitter feed is people already have like nanobots inside of them, taking control of them and making them do all sorts of weird things like this. You sound ridiculous. What, you don't see video of people spinning around and falling over and dying? Those aren't real. They probably have this stuff inside there waiting for switch to be thrown. That's what they say. And it's also not funny, Vlad. And that's not funny. It's probably like from a student film or something, or some propaganda. Remember all the videos that they showed before, or it's real. Those aren't real. Well, if it is that far-fetched, why Elon tweet out picture of a tombstone with a lightning bolt saying soon, tombstone, and then robot? All right, so that's something, huh? That is something else. Indeed something else. I like to do those little skits. You got to tell me in the comment section if you like those goofy little things. I play a bunch of characters. I don't know. I like to make myself laugh, and I like to make other people laugh. It's something I think there's the joy of the Lord is our strength, and I think there's a great lesson in the fact of being able to take a joke, and have a little bit of fun, and not take things too seriously. I know that if I was more serious, and I know that if I came across as if I know this. I know that I'd probably have so many more of you following, and so many more of you, because, of course, everybody has to be the authority. I don't want to be the authority. I don't want that. Jesus always pointed people to the Father. I want to point people to God. That's the authority in my life, but I like to have fun. And I also believe that it's also a very clever way of getting people to think. Now, you want to hear weird? Because I wear the God's Champion shirt. That's kind of like a goof on Elon, because he's wearing the Devil's Champion costume from his Halloween party. It's kind of a goof, because we're all supposed to be God's champions. We're all witnesses of God. This is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to understand who we are. So I like the T-shirt because it makes me feel like I'm a superhero, because you're a superhero, And who's to say that we aren't? So there's this guy on Twitter. I don't know who he is. His name is, I think it's, you got to tell me in the live chat once again. Does anybody know this guy? Ed Krasenstein, I don't know who he is. But he has a lot of subscribers. And what was weird was, for some reason, this popped up in my feed this morning, and I was going to do a show about Neuralink, right? And he wrote, did you ever wonder what Elon Musk's master plan is for society? Even wonder why he's developing Neuralink, Tesla, and Twitter? After a deep investigation, I unfortunately found out. Now, I got to tell you something. I don't think this guy did a deep investigation. I think he's trying to make himself sound all super, I did a bunch of investigating. I think he asked like a chat GPT come up with a story, basically, because then he shares the story. And this story is basically that Elon Musk finds a way to pull everything together into one company. With relentless determination, he orchestrates a seamless integration of these three companies under a single umbrella corporation called Neuralink Inc. Yeah, it would be called the X Inc., by the way, if it was real. All right, with your big investigation here. I think when you see the title Neuralink, I think that's probably a giveaway that this is a little bit of, what do they call it? Make-believe, right? He supposedly researched and sent this AI bot into the future. That was the idea. I asked it to connect to an AI that's in the future through the quantum realm, I guess, and report back to me the history of Elon Musk. And this is what they exposed. Under the guise of innovation and progress, Musk, you know what? I'll read it to you while I'm, so that it's not so, I don't know. Under the guise of innovation and progress, Elon Musk initiated a global campaign promoting the benefits of his unified empire. He marketed it as a utopian vision where technology seamlessly integrated into every aspect of life. That's going to happen. I mean, it already has happened. Initially, people embraced this with enthusiasm. They marveled at the interconnectedness of their lives, the amalgamation of Tesla's electric vehicles, Twitter's social influence, and Neuralink's brain machine allowed for unprecedented control and manipulation. Not that control and manipulation are something that we already see on social media. This, I guess, is a future thing. This is some great research. Elon Musk's empire extended to every corner of society. Which, by the way, in my story, there's a character who's just like that. Very interesting character, very cool character. Elias Livdot is his name. I tell people to look at that backwards. But as time passed, a sense of unease began to stir. They felt dominance of this empire and control. But there was some dissent, whispers of it. Now, this is where it gets weird. This is where it gets weird. Take a look at this. One such individual was Jacob, an independent thinker and former employee of Neuralink. By the way, I am not an employee of Twitter or Neuralink or anything. I am not. I get all of my now funds from advertising on YouTube and your support. Thank you. He witnessed firsthand the profound implications. Jacob had observed the transformation of this technology from a tool of medical advancements to a means of control. I mean, don't you think it's just funny that here we got, think about this, Jacob, right? Jacob in the future. He's doing battle with Elon Musk. So God's champion against the devil's champion. I say that God has better plans than that. I say that God can influence everybody. And I say that in Pharaoh's day, Pharaoh would be the most popular person, the most influential person, the most powerful person, like Elon. He'd be a ruler. And Joseph comes on the scene. He may not be what many consider to be the best. He may not be considered to be the most awesome or the most godly in some people's eyes, but placed there for a reason, because God places everybody, every ruler and every person in their place for their time. Joseph comes on the scene. There's a famine that's coming on the land. There are these two eclipses. Do you see where I'm going with this? Jacob's family, at this point in time, they were in Canaan. Symbolically, this is where I live. I live on Strong Island, right outside of of New York, Babylon down the street, Goshen, New York, not too far away, because that's where Jacob ends up living, in Goshen. Well, of course, that's in Egypt, but there's a Goshen, New York. All these things are strange. What if there is nothing new under the sun? What if that's the day that we're in? Now, this is where it gets really interesting, okay? Why is X significant to begin with? Mainly because the letter X has to do with the dragon, the serpent. But not just that, but also the cross of Christ. Many people forget this. This is a transitional moment that we're in history, people. That's why X is everywhere. This is an important time. But this is a very strange time too, because we do see prophecy one after the other, after the other, after the other. I've been talking a lot about the horse races, how Mage won the Kentucky Derby, MAGA, right? And how Forte couldn't make it in to the race because of its heel. All of these things. This is the Dan Dad. Let me just answer this because she's gonna. Hi, honey bear. I'm gonna put you on speaker. I'm doing a live show right now. You want to say hi to everybody? I don't know if you can probably hear me, but I'm in a live show, honey. I love you. Oh, she's gonna be home soon. I started a little bit later. I like to be done by the time she gets home so I can hang out. We have, we love each other. We have such a great time together. We all have dinner as a family together. We all do all the good stuff. So here's the thing. I get this, Twitter DM from, I have a problem. I think it's Nicholas because it's written in such an interesting way, but pointed out to me on one of my tweets, Genesis 47, because we were talking about the default, stands out to me at this point, for our money has failed. So I, of course, wrote Neom. Pharaoh ends up owning everyone's land and moves people to the outskirts to live there, except for the priests. Isn't that something? Isn't that interesting? That everybody who's kind of wicked, who's dwelling in a low land, well, they lose everything. They end up becoming total slaves and dependent on the system. And, well, not for the priests. So what if, let's use our imagination. Let's for a second say, what if all of this stuff is literally going down right now? What if a reboot is about to take place? What if we're in the midst of it? If we're in a simulation, some people would say, oh, somebody's hitting the reset. Other people might say, oh, everybody's going to be wiped clean. We're going to start over. Like the flood, Noah's flood. Things have gotten too wicked. Things have gotten out of control. We got to start this over again. That's what God does. Hoping that a few, the first fruits escape. But I have a better hope for the day that we're in. Because there comes a time when everybody has to be brought into the storehouse. Everybody needs to be brought into the kingdom of God. All knees, every knee shall bow, every tongue shall confess. That day, well, it may not be right now, but it's upon us. Meaning that we're going to start to see more and more people waking up, especially when and if their lands be taken. So Nicholas pointed out the fact that, I've been talking a lot about the heel of the horse, the eye of the horse, and the symbolism of it, and how it's connected to the Old Testament prophecies. One of them being Jacob's prophecy for his children. But in Genesis 47, we talk about that number 47 a lot, there is a depiction of events that I think he was correct at. I think that this is the time that we're in. We've gone through all of these stages. If I be Jacob, if you will, you want to say metaphorically speaking, the timing's right. My age would be right. The world and the way it is right now would be right. And this was a prophecy of what was to come. This is interesting stuff. All right, so let's take a look at Genesis 47. It's going to blow your mind. Then Joseph came and told Pharaoh and said, my father, that's Jacob, by the way, and my brethren, and their flocks, and their herds, and all of them are come out of the land of Canaan. Now, I want to let you know that the land of Canaan literally means lowland. Carbondale. Isn't that interesting? So they've come out of Canaan. They've come out of the lowland. This is Joseph interceding to Pharaoh. Could be a picture of Christ interceding on our behalf. My father and my brother. And who are Jesus' fathers, brothers, and mothers, but those who do the will of God? They've come out of the land of Canaan, and behold, they are in the land of Goshen. And do you know what Goshen means? This is really interesting. This is really interesting because when you find out what Goshen means, it puts everything in perspective. This is a time when you're ready. This is a time when you're set to go. This is a time when you're like, I'm done being the meatball that I was, stubborn and angry. Gonna be better. This is the day that we're in. I'm dwelling in the land of Goshen. The land of Goshen. So he took some of his brethren, even 5 of them, and presented them to Pharaoh. Thank you, by the way, for the super chat. I'm just now catching you. I'm sorry I didn't see you earlier. Let's see who that is. Denise, oh, I appreciate it. I'm glad it's a great show. Yeah, it is, because the day that we're in is a great day. So the Pharaoh says, for you to sojourn in the land are we come, for your servants have no pasture for their flocks, for the famine is sore in the land of Canaan. For the world is a terrible, ugly place. In the lowland, there's no food, there's no pasture. Pharaoh's saying this because Joseph's coming to Pharaoh and saying, look, they've left the lowland. They have potential. They're drawing near. That's what the word means, drawing close to God. So Pharaoh says, look, tell them to dwell here in this land, dwelling even closer to me in Goshen. Pharaoh spoke to Joseph, saying, your father and your brother are come unto you. The land of Egypt is before you. In the best of the land, make your father and your brother to dwell. In the land of Goshen, let them dwell. And if you know any men or activity among them, make them rulers over my cattle. So you see now, could you imagine if this is like Elon Musk? And he's been watching the channel forever, right? And he, and the Lord has won this man's heart. And, he wants to be a good ruler. I'm just saying, why do we have to worry about the worst all the time? I'm just saying, wouldn't it be wonderful if God puts these people in place? And he's like, those that do good, tell them to come and dwell in my best lands. But the people that are in the lowland, oh, no. You know what's going to happen? What ends up happening? They got no food, so they sell all their land. Pharaoh owns it. And then he just puts them off to the side. It's like Neom. These 15-minute cities? Isn't that literally what's happening? Isn't that what's being set before us today? But what you forget is those that do the will of God, well, they're going to be okay. And Joseph brought in Jacob, his father, and he placed him before Pharaoh, and Jacob blessed Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto him, how old are you? Jacob said to Pharaoh, the days of my years and my pilgrimage, 130 years. Few and evil have the days of the years of my life have been, and have not attained unto the days of the years of my life of my fathers and the days of their pilgrimage. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from before Pharaoh. Joseph placed his father and his brethren and gave them a possession in the land of Egypt, in the best of the land, in the land of Ramesses. This is Jacob and the Israelites. Do you see what's happening? You know how I keep saying, it's going to get worse, it's going to get worse, it's going to get worse. Famine's coming, famine's coming, famine's coming. But I say, you're going to be okay. Because when the Exodus happened, Israel took the treasure of Egypt. Because God, He's in charge of any kind of reset, ultimately. He's in charge of any kind of reboot. He's in charge of the default. Which when people default on their property, Pharaoh's going to buy them out if they're in the lowland. And there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very sore, so that the land of Egypt and all the land of Canaan fainted by the reason of that famine. Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt, in the land of Canaan, for the corn which they bought, and Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. When the money failed, when the banks defaulted, when the government defaulted, when the money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, and all the Egyptians came to Joseph and said, give us bread, we're going to die, for the money's failing. Joseph says, give me what you have. I want your cattle. This is a picture. When the system's you're gonna fail if you're following after the system. Joseph's a picture of Christ. You putting your trust in the system, it's going to fail. And when it does fail, you know what you're going to do? You're going to come to God and you're going to say, well, just help me. That's what has to happen. So he fed them, took the cattle. When that year was ended, guess what happens? Then no better. Money's spent. All the herds of the cattle, not one's left in the sight of the Lord, but our bodies. So at this point in time, after things get so bad, the people that dwell in the lowland, that are not dwelling close and drawing near to God, well, things are going to get even worse. Wherefore we shall die in your eyes, both we and our land. Buy us our land for bread. And we and our land will be servants to Pharaoh, and give us seed that we may live and not die. Joseph bought all the land of Pharaoh, for the Egyptians sold every man his field, because the famine prevailed over them. So the land became Pharaoh's. And for the people, he removed them to cities, from one end of the borders of Egypt even to the other. 15-minute cities. You see how strange that is? You see how remarkable that is? Do you see why I'm excited and I'm not too stressed out? Because although I don't have the credentials, I consider myself to be a priest unto the Lord. I hope you do too. I consider myself to be a witness unto the Lord. I hope you do too. I'm dwelling in the land of Goshen. I've dwelt in the land of Canaan. I'm in the land of Goshen. I want to draw closer and closer and closer to God. Don't you? All right. I'm glad you're all here. Thank you for spending some time with me. Do me a favor. Hit the like button. Share it around. Get yourself some merch if you want to support the channel. It's very helpful. This is going away. Don't forget, I think maybe we got a week left of this. I think. Unless I did it right, and then I'll tell you in a week's time. All in the links in the description below. I love you all. I thank you all. Come to the land of Goshen. Get out of the lowland. All right? Stop worrying about the great reset or the default or whatever they're going to call it, because Pharaoh's not going to take what's yours if you are God's. You see what I'm saying? I love you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.